Good evening, everybody. I am Tom Sellers with my friend and co-host Frank Hostica, and we are our 2 cents. And with the coin shortage out there, Frank and I are both here to tell you we got plenty of cents to throw around. We're okay with that, right, Frank?
We do. Is there
All right.
is there a coin shortage going on that I don't know about?
Well, that's what they're trying to sell us on today. I'm not buying it personally, but it is what it is. How you doing, sir? We've missed you the last week or so. Tell us how
Oh,
things are going for you.
doing good, doing good.
Good.
You know, enjoying life. Just went on a little trip last week, road trip out to Wichita, Kansas, to visit daughter and granddaughter, and
Very nice.
new granddaughter, newest addition to the family, Ruby Jean Ramsey. She's 10 weeks old, and had a lot of fun holding her, squeezing her, feeding her, even changing her diapers.
Very nice. Well,
Yeah,
congratulations. And that sounds
thank you.
like a very worthwhile trip to go on.
Yeah.
Good, Stuart. Glad you could join us. Good to see you, sir. Thank you. Um, so, Frank, tell us what we're in for tonight. This is, before we get started, I'm going to say this is a show that when we first talked to this gentleman a couple of days ago, I'm like, this is something that belongs on our show.
Yeah.
And so strongly I felt about it. I said, I know some people in this field. Actually, my wife knows because she's in a similar field. And I said, hey, get an invitation out to these people. They're going to want to see what we talk about tonight. So now I've thrown the teaser out there. Frank, go ahead and close it down for me. Let's get this show started.
All right. Well, we've got a guest tonight. His name is Joe Dix. Uh, he owns a company called Candid Solutions and is a managed service provider and IT specialist. And so, yeah, just somebody I met recently who's got some great resources for small business owners, and somebody got some interesting things to talk about. So we wanted to bring him on the show and pick his brain a little bit about what he knows, what he does, and how that's certainly valuable to small business owners.
Absolutely, absolutely. And before we bring Joe in, I would like, if you are out there watching, share this for us. Let's get this audience bigger. And this is for all of us in the small business and home business branch of the world out there. So the more people talking, the more people that are sending questions, the better this show gets. So without any further ado, let's bring in Joe. Welcome, Joe, to our 2 cents. Joe, how are you?
Fantastic, guys. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Just great, just great. So you and I and Frank talked the other day, and like I say, what you do is um, a little different than what a lot of people. When we first started talking, I had a general idea of what I was expecting, but I don't know that I could have been farther from what the reality is. So, Joe, tell us a little bit about you, a little bit about your background.
Sure. Well, before I do that, way more important than anything I'm going to say tonight, Frank, congratulations on your niece, Ruby Jean. That's awesome. Is it your niece? Is that what you said?
Frank, have we lost you?
I'm still here, but I'm not hearing.
Okay.
I'm not hearing Joe, and I don't see Joe on the screen. I see Joe on the Facebook Live feed, but I'm not hearing him.
Tom, can you hear me?
But I'm
I can hear you just fine.
All right. Well, let him know I said congratulations on
Joe.
Ruby
I don't hear
Jean.
Joe.
So I'll answer the question, and we'll as long as you can hear me, Tom. If you can't hear me, I'm sure you'll let me know.
You betcha.
Number one, thanks for having me tonight. I'm super excited to be on this. I've never done a podcast before, and I appreciate you guys considering me. So, straightforward. 20 some years ago, I got started in the telephony business and working for various companies. Everybody was buying everybody, and it was kind of the same message that my customers that I was meeting with and setting appointments with that were telling me is this the only option I have? And as a sales rep for a company, it was the only option I could sell. And as I got more experience with the business, maybe 6-7 years into it, I had fortunate enough to meet some people that were able to give me some some guidance on starting my own agency. And ultimately, the reason why I did that, guys, is because I didn't want to have to tell my customers that a solution was good for them when it might not have been.
Okay.
The company Candid in of itself, Candid means honest, and it's something I'm very passionate about. It's something also that seems to be a little bit more, unfortunately, rare in this telecom space than it should be. A lot of really great people, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, I wanted to be able to come into my customers and prospective customers and say, tell me about your business, tell me what you're trying to achieve, and help be more of a consultant. And the only way I could do that is if I represented a lot of different companies. And today, I'm proud to say I have over 250 carrier agreements with companies, all the usual suspects like the AT&Ts of the world and Comcast and all those, and then many, many, many more that specialize in all kinds of different areas of IT. So that's the reason why I started the company. And I started in 1996, started doing bill audits for companies and helping them save money and collecting a piece of the savings, which was only after it was proven and they realized the savings. And naturally, that kind of led in with a lot of customers asked me if I could take care of some additional services for them. And I started getting my own agreements in place. And years into it, by 2008, I had about 96 agreements. And now I actually pay a company to manage my agreements because I'd spend all day long working with legal stuff, and I don't want to do that. So yeah, that's kind of the reason why I started the company. It's a little bit about me.
Okay. And so this show, of course, is primarily focused on working from home. So how does that look for you? Sounds to me as if you have a relatively large book of business you have to manage. So how does that all fit in one office?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'm not the smartest guy in the room, and I don't ever want to be. If I'm the smartest guy in the room, my customer's in trouble. I know enough to be dangerous and how to recognize opportunities to help my customers be more efficient, work from home, service their customers the right way. But I've got 500 sales engineers behind me from the various companies that I represent. And
Okay.
every company out there, AT&T is no different. They all have their direct salespeople that they hire, that interview, they hire, and then they pay benefits for. And then they have what they call their carrier channel or their agent channel. I represent
Okay.
the agent channel.
Gotcha.
My company is considered to be a master agency just because we carry a lot of our own agreements, and then now I pay someone to do that, like I said. But we I don't really have anyone that I bring to the table, which is my expertise, guys. My company is just experts in bringing the right solutions to the table, removing the guesswork out of opening the phone book or looking up Angie's list and finding out who's who, and
Okay.
really creating relationships with my customers and making sure that, again, we remove the guesswork, we remove the finger pointing. Um,
Gotcha.
if something doesn't go right, they're calling my company, they're calling my support line, and they're being taken care of immediately. So we're not hiding. I'm not out there. I don't have quotas, and we'll get into some of that later. But that's really the short
Sure.
answer.
Okay. And those of you, I don't know if Frank can hear us yet. It looks to me like he's doing an equipment change. We thought we had him there for a bit, and I see him pull his other computer in. So Frank will be back with us soon, I am sure. Also want to say hello to Yamil Betancourt. Yamil, glad to have you with us. Um, so moving ahead just a little bit, um, what is it that an agent such as yourself brings to the table for a guy like me, for a guy who runs a small little business out of his home office?
You know, another good question. It doesn't matter the size of your business. I have companies and customers that have been with me for 10 plus years that are two men and two women in a truck, whatever. And then I
Sure.
have customers that are well over 10,000. My largest customer is over 50,000 employees globally. We
Mhm.
do just a very small piece of what they need. Um, at the end of the day, the biggest differentiator, because I think this is important in answering why the audience would benefit from us. I'm not the only agent out there. There's a lot of agents out there. There's a lot of good ones, and we work together to bring unbiased approaches to our customers. I don't have a sales quota. I don't work for a carrier. I don't have to start over every month. and I'm not, grasping at straws to make my number.
Right.
What we really want to do, and how I want to change this business model, the hurdles I jump over every day are people in front of me that have put them there, that have been, they sold a solution and then they're gone, and they're chasing that next paycheck, and I don't blame them, right? The telecom space is rough. You got to have thick skin. Companies are buying each other all the time, and I got tired of that, and I wanted something more steady for my family, and I want to provide the same thing for my customers, a steady approach. I'm not married to Comcast. They're good for certain things. My value is, again, taking that guesswork out of who's good at servicing the client. If you're a car dealership, your needs are vastly different than a bank.
Right.
And we do a lot of financial institution stuff. We do a lot of healthcare now, especially.
Right.
But the benefit is just having a partner and someone in your back pocket that you can lean on. I don't charge an hourly rate. I've charged companies and over $150 an hour in the past just doing consulting work for them. We don't do any of that stuff anymore. I love what I'm doing. Number one, I'm energized having my own business and supporting customers and being the go-to person for them, and engaging the right people at the table to make sure they're not reinventing their IT roadmap every 5 years and spending unnecessary money on it.
Okay. Very cool. April Stewart is here. Hi, April. Christine Mahoney, good to have you with us as well. Frank, can you hear us now?
Can you hear me is the question.
And the honest answer is we can. So can you see
Right.
us?
I do not hear Joe. So
You still don't? Can you still not hear me?
If I go on Facebook Live, I hear Joe just fine. But on the feed where we're all supposed to be talking together, having this conversation, Joe is not there. So I don't know what Joe's saying, or can't keep up with the conversation in that regard.
Okay. That's weird, because we were on 20 minutes early to make sure we did not have this, and everything worked fine. Damn gremlins, what I'm thinking.
Yep. Anyway, you just keep on going. You got the questions. You ask the questions. I'll just sit here and I'll respond to the people that are chiming in on Facebook.
All right, we will get through it. That's what we do. So Joe, how do you find your customers? How do you go out there? I know you're big on networking. I know you know a lot of people. So is that where you're going to derive the vast majority, or do you have another way of bringing customers into you?
So we do a mix of things. What I want to get to eventually is that I am just being referred by people that trust me and that have used me.
Wait, hang on one second. Frank, Frank, can you hear me? We're catching some feedback. Got it?
Yep. Just trying to troubleshoot on my end.
I got it.
Hey Frank, I know a guy.
Right?
Yeah, there you go. So so we do a fair amount with referral business, which is wonderful. It's the best, as we all know as business owners. In any case, whether you're a business owner or not, that's the best, because it's a warm transfer. Then I do a lot of marketing through LinkedIn Sales Navigator, coupled with things like Zop2, which is a London-based company with a U.S. presence, that work in tandem, dropping a very respectful, marketing campaign, sequencing behind an introduction email. Have connected with a lot of C-level people that I need to be speaking with, the people that make the decisions, like CTOs and security officers and the like. So we do a lot of that, and then I had mentioned to you guys ahead of the call startings that I've had people call for me in the past, and I have a woman that's going to be starting with me. I'm super excited. She'll be making phone calls and spreading the good word, so to speak.
Okay. So explain, if you would, to the audience, and we'll just use me as an example, because, well, I know what goes on here. So let's say I'm a relatively small company, under 10 employees. I understand what an IT department is, but I'm a little worried about what all entails, and can I actually afford it?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I think really the question is, and this isn't to be funny, really the question is, can You
We
can't.
allow money here. That's okay.
Yeah, you can't not afford it because number one, in most cases, it's not more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I have a tool that I produce contracts and quotes while on site. My customers look at my laptop and see everything that I see, and it's pretty cool. It has a 32 API feeds, soon to be 40, meaning Comcast of the world, they feed into it. I have all their promotions. I have everything they have right in front of me, and I can
Sure.
generate contracts from them as well, right on the spot. So
Okay.
rather than taking 2 weeks or a week or a couple days or a month to get something back to you, you can see everything that I can see, and on top of that, you can actually see where I can go in and select certain promotions based on what's going on and what you need. So we
Okay.
don't hold any promotions back. I would rather you spend less and me make less, and I'll tell you how I make money, than and you be with me for 10 years rather than me trying to nickel and dime you all over the place.
Sure.
So the biggest thing is, again, removing the guesswork out of what's out there. There's so much stuff out there.
Right.
And we know the name brands, the people that spend all the money on the advertising, but we don't know a lot of the really cool specialty companies like a Cato Networks and an Open Systems. It's just unbelievably incredible how they can service their clients and protect them from cyber attacks and things like that. There's so much more moving parts behind this than just your phone line and your internet connection.
Okay.
Nowadays, with everything that's going on, I don't even want to say the word, but I'm going to say it anyways. COVID-19. I know we're all tired of it.
You
I know.
said it anyway.
I know. I'm sorry. I had to get it out once, right? So, cyber attacks are more prevalent now than ever in our history, and people working from home don't know how to protect themselves. And VPN networks going into a company database to access company tools that they need to try to protect, you have to get a VPN connection, and they're typically very slow. And the truth is, VPN's dead. It's something of
Okay.
the past. There's way better ways of doing it. There's way more secure ways of doing it. You need to be protecting yourself from cyber attacks, especially if you're processing credit cards. You have customer files, social security numbers, sensitive information, bank information, account numbers. If you're not protecting your customer base by putting the right tools in place, it's not and this is what the cyber guys will tell you, and they scare me when I talk to these guys, which, I don't want to get into that piece of this, and by the way, guys, just side note, cybersecurity, unified communications, voice over IP, the cloud, everybody hears about the cloud. We can get into free training sessions on this, for the McHenry Chamber or anybody you guys want, Tom and Frank. We can put on registration only, free events, half hour, hour long. People can ask questions and educate people for no charge.
Okay.
A lot of these companies even promote giving you a cup of coffee to join us, $5 for Starbucks or Dunkin' or whatever. So anyway, not a plug, just something I wanted you to know about.
No, plug away. That's what we're here for.
Well, cool. Well, thank you. So, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you're going to have a breach.
Okay.
And these people are really incredibly talented. And we have companies that will hack and that will do that to test. And I can get into some really cool stories about the FBI and something that happened this early or mid last year, excuse me, about, they didn't feel like they needed, not my account, which they were, it'd be cool. But one of my partners, a guy had sent an email out on the FBI side. Why do we need these people coming in here? We don't need them. And this lady's company, she's globally known. She's out of the Atlanta area. She hacked their email within 3 or 4 minutes and put his email up on the board on a TV in the room and said, "This is why you need us. You're not secure, not even
Right.
close." And that's the FBI. That's scary. So,
Sure.
and the truth is, most small businesses aren't targets. But my job is to talk to you and find out about your business and understand it and think and listen,
Mhm.
and then go back and take notes and come back to you and say, did I miss anything? Here's what I heard.
Right.
Now, here's what I'm thinking. You don't have to necessarily spend more money to have a better infrastructure. Doesn't matter if you're at home or you're downtown Chicago at the Aon building on the 48th floor. It just doesn't matter. You still have to protect yourself. You have to run smart business. And if something costs you an extra 10, $20 a month, who cares? Honestly, because it's your business and you have to protect it.
Right. All right, we are about to go to our first commercial break. This will be one of our sponsors, tsellers.com. If you haven't already heard, we have a sale on two of our biggest lead generating magnets. So hang tight. Let's get that up here. Let's spend a second learning about it, and we will be right back. Hey, it's Tom. Business people, you know you need leads to survive. Because of that, tsellers.com has for the next 2 weeks has for the next 2 weeks has for the next 2 weeks put two of our most popular lead generators on sale. Our landing page and contact form combo generates better qualified leads for you with a regular price of $99 and now only $59. Our 30-second promo promotes exposure and lead generation. Normally it's $129, now it's $89. Or get both bundled for only $125. That is tsellers.com. Let's get back to the conversation. Frank, can you hear us now?
I can hear you just fine. I can hear you.
Hey, Frank, can you hear? Frank, can you hear me?
Can't hear Joe or the rest of the feed. Don't know
Wow,
where
that
it's
is
at. It's lost somewhere. So you
wow.
just chugging along. You got the questions, and I'll manage anything that comes in on Facebook.
And you are doing well at it, and thank you. So, Joe, going back to where we kind of left off with things, you were talking briefly about cyber hacking, cybersecurity, things like that. And we had talked the other day, and I tried to clarify a little bit, so you know where I'm about to go with this. You told me that your company has a specific 5 or 6 step type of thing that you guys look at when you first come in and you talk to a small, medium-sized business. Can you go into that just a little bit and what the advantages are to people who maybe never have even given this a thought?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. So, everybody needs high-speed internet of some flavor, and that's number one. Where you get it from, how it's delivered, you don't really need to be concerned with that too much because you want to run your business, but it needs to be secured. You need to have, especially working from home now, if people aren't typically used to doing, I've been doing that for 20 years, but if you're not used to that environment, you can have that office enterprise experience, and your customers can have that experience too by having your phone system, put in the cloud. Everybody hears that all the time. You hear voice over IP. What does it really mean? Now it's called UCaaS, or Unified Communications as a Service. Everything is as a service. So you've got this high-speed internet connection at home. Very affordable. Comcast is the go-to around here. It works. It's fine. When it's out, it's out. And when it's up, it's up. And so you want to have the options of, number one, there's this thing called voice prioritization. If you guys have ever been on a Zoom call, that's the new thing now. So Zoom's one of my many vendors of video conferencing. But if you're on a Zoom call or a WebEx call or Cisco, whatever, typically it's all dependent on your network and how strong it is. And you might see some stutter steps or some video that's a little bit not clear, or the voice might crackle and sound like a robot. That's
Right.
all based on just prioritizing on your network, which you can do at home. And so prioritizing on your network, what I mean is there's voice and there's data packets.
Mm-hmm.
Voice has to be number one in most cases. And if the voice is priority over data, somebody streaming a YouTube video in the fourth floor of your house or in your basement is not going to impact the voice quality or that video quality. And we can do it down to the device. So you've got high-speed internet, you've got how it's prioritizing the voice and data at home, so you can run a quality signal and a quality video. Now,
Okay.
if I start stutter stepping and everything, I'm going to be highly embarrassed because it shouldn't do that. But then you have your phone system, right? You don't need to have an expensive phone system. You can get these things from Costco. You can get them all. You don't need to buy them from me. I don't even get into that kind of stuff. We can give it to you. Doesn't matter. Cisco, Nortel, you name it. Avaya is big now. But at the end of the day, you have the internet, the phone system, your desktop, and how you're doing that, and how are you backing up your files? Are you putting them on a hard drive that's probably going to crash, or do you have that backed up in a secure file and a secure cloud server? And those are also very inexpensive. And get them from Google. You don't have to get them from me. We can give you the advice on where to get them.
Sure.
And then how are you servicing your clients? How do you support and service your clients after the sale? And whatever the environment might be. We coach on whether or not companies need a contact center. A lot of people don't even know what a contact center is. It could be two people sitting off site, wherever, or it could just be yourself, and how you're fielding calls, and how your auto attendant, how your voicemail is fielding calls and retrieving and sending them, so your clients feel connected with you, and they don't feel like they're going to a 19. Hey, I don't want to date myself here, but an older voicemail system with a tape in it, right? There's better ways to do it, and they're not expensive. And we get into contact centers. My business partner warned me before this. He goes, "Don't start talking about contact centers. Most people don't know what it is." I didn't know what it was. He's not a telecom guy. Contact center is essentially the old call centers. When you bought a vacuum from Sears and you had a problem with it, you called an 800 number that goes to a call center, and they field it, they send it out. A contact center is just a new way of meeting the millennial demand, which can be a little bit annoying sometimes, but maybe they don't want to talk to you on the phone. Maybe they're not traditional.
Right.
Maybe they want to just send you a text message, but they don't want to have to repeat themselves.
Right.
And they don't want to give their information over a tool and then have you get on the phone with them and say, "Now tell me what your name is again." So there's better ways to do that. Gartner, if everybody on the call's ever heard of Gartner, Gartner is something I don't pay a lot of attention to. I think a lot of companies pay to have their brands recognized.
Right.
But the truth is there's 20 some contact center companies, service providers that are very affordable for small, medium-sized businesses. You don't have to go to the 5.9s and the Nice Contacts and the Genesis. Those are all the three big ones that are in the upper quadrant in Gartner. They're great. Love them. I work with them every day. But you don't have to go there. So we can teach you on how to make the right decisions on how to service your clients the right way. Listen, every business is different. There's so much that I don't know. That's why we take the time to really listen to the business owners and understand what they're doing. The fifth thing is, how do you identify do I go get a laptop from Costco, or do I buy it from somebody without a lot of the bloatware on it, that a lot of that stuff causes spam and viruses and things like that, because it's distracting. So you should get a laptop that's streamlined for your business. It might have Microsoft on it. It might have Google apps on it, but we can help coach you on that too. And again, we don't charge for this stuff.
Okay.
The idea is to get you up and running and have someone that's in your corner. Remote file sharing. I touched on it earlier a little bit. You have to have your files. I could literally move that picture behind me. Behind it is 3 hard drives that all failed in the last year. And they're name brands. You can't put stuff on a hard drive. Don't count on it lasting. It won't. It's going to fail. You're going to lose your data. So you got to do things like that. And then remote support, for the companies that aren't fortunate enough to be able to afford a staff of full-time IT technical officers or leaders. That's where we would engage someone that you would have to pay for these services, but they're as needed. They're local businesses that I support in Crystal Lake and McHenry County, and these are people that are wonderful at what they do. If it's a global need, we have global companies like a Splice or a CTX, those types of companies that can come in and provide support remotely. All U.S. based, no language barriers, to those types of things. So those are just kind of the tip of the iceberg, some top 7 things we would coach on.
Okay. And if you look back at what Joe just got done saying, those of us that are small business owners, and those of us that maybe don't think a lot about this stuff. Now we are aware of cybersecurity issues. We are aware of ransomware issues. Maybe it's never happened to us, so maybe we don't spend much more time thinking about it. But you hit on a very good point there, in that the vast majority of us that run businesses are getting paid on the internet one way or another.
Hmm.
That means we are involved with people's credit cards. We are involved with perhaps, excuse me, auto pays and what that goes through. So to protect not only ourselves but most importantly the client, it's probably a good idea to have a conversation with Joe and his team. Um, because we have Frank kind of remote there and handling things on the other side. Joe asked a question: what would you say to the small business owner that doesn't think cybersecurity is something to be concerned about?
Well, it's understandable. Let's take the situation we find ourselves in now globally. I'm not going to repeat it. I promise you I won't say that word again. We
Don't do it,
didn't.
Joe.
I'm not gonna. I promised it, Tom. I'm not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. So, you
Wouldn't
know,
be
out of sight. Yeah, it wouldn't be. Oh my gosh, that church lady. So, you know, we out of sight, out of mind. We get very comfortable, not complacent, not lazy. I don't mean it that way. We get comfortable with how we're running our businesses, and we need to be aware that there is a whole nother universe out there that people that want stuff for free, and
right.
there's some big things that we don't have to necessarily worry about. At least I don't. I'm a small business, right? Big business behind me supporting me, but I'm a small business owner, and I don't necessarily have to worry about having ransomware attack hit me, and my computer crashing and somebody grabbing my data, because I know I'm protected. Number one, but you can't be 100% protected no matter who you are. First of all, and out of sight, out of mind. This environment we find ourselves in now, it's forcing the market, catapulting us 2 years ahead of time where we should have been 5 years ago or 3 years ago. We're allowing people, trusting your workforce to work from home and
Right.
not get stuck in Chicago traffic. I've done it. We've all done it. You can work from home, you can be effective, but you do have to take some precautions. And it's not about slapping a firewall in place, guys, whether it's a software or hardware firewall that came with your router or your wireless access point, right? It's really about having even if something gets past that, how do you know? Most of the global enterprises, out there, I don't want to name names, but I can tell you some of the most companies with $85 million IT budgets globally. I've worked with them as a
Sure.
consultant, and they've had penetration happen, and they didn't know it for 120 days.
Wow. A lot of damage can be done in that kind of time, I think.
So we just did a quick, easy introductory seminar. Wrong audience, but foot in the door with Chase, J.P. Morgan, and I can say that because they're not our client. And they didn't do anything wrong. But they had one of their big customers come to them and say, "Hey, what are you doing to protect us? We just had a ransomware attack. It cost us almost $3 million to get our data back. And by the way, when you pay the money, there's another case down in Lee County, Florida. My buddy Bob Pekel told me about um, a company. I'm not going to name the name, but they had to fork over 250,000, which is cheap to get their data back. Sometimes people pay this money and it's the wrong passwords and they don't get their data back. And they've already paid the money in Bitcoins. You can't track it. You can't get it back. This call isn't meant to scare people. It's just really a matter of you can't get comfortable with what we're doing, none of us, on a day-to-day basis, because just like I wouldn't let my daughter take her bike to Walmart 3 miles away, I've got to protect her. I've got to protect my business. I got to protect the data. I got to protect my customers. It's no
Exactly.
different. It's different. Obviously, my daughter, it's not the same, but it's the same principle. You got to
Well,
protect your stuff.
yeah, because what we do, what our businesses, and as many of us have seen through the C word these last several months, it hurts. Why would we allow things that we can't see come up to hurt us and ignore things that we at least have some semblance of knowledge about? I think those are things we probably want to try to address first if we can.
Yeah.
And and we had a question for Joe. Joe, Tim Stewart would like to sit down and talk with you. So we'll get that put together when we go off the air here.
I would absolutely be honored. Tim is awesome. So anything I can learn from Tim, I'm
Ray took
all
care
in.
of it.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. I want to kind of switch gears just a little bit. Um, Now, obviously, what we do here, we are business people. We are talking about business. We are talking about opportunities of making money from home, and that can take on a lot of different faces. And Joe, the conversation we had earlier in the week, you said something rather unique. Almost sounded like I was talking to me for a second. Um, but tell me, I know you say you are always looking for agents, but not the way some might think. So can you expand on that a little bit for us?
Absolutely. No, that's fun. So, we have 3 tiers of our agent program. So the same as me, I'm an agent of 250 some providers, AT&T again, all the names we all know, and then many that we don't. Um, the 3 tiers are a referral agent. Could be anybody you could own a tire company, you can own a tree service or a lawnmower fixed company. It doesn't matter. If you know people and you want to make extra money, you work from home, we give you all the tools completely branded. You don't even have to sell anything. You just have to say, hey, I know a person, you should try it out. They helped us out in our group or whatever. And we go out and we learn more about their business, and we don't embarrass you for the referral, number one. Number two, it's there's another level where maybe you're more technical and you want to be more hands-on. You want to be involved with what we're doing. It would be kind of our mid-tier agent program. So you're still referring business to us, but you're bringing us in and we're sitting at the table with you. So as a referral agent at the first level, it's just like, hey, I want to run my business. I know a guy called Joe Dix. He can bring his team in and they'll sit with you. It's very low, no pressure whatsoever. They sit, they learn, and they establish whether or not there's an opportunity for you to improve your business model or how you're doing business. The second one is, again, more hands-on. The third level would be a lot of the people that I probably know in this industry. And I've been working with AT&T since the Ameritech days, and even a little bit before that. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of people out of work, and it stinks. But
Right.
they know this business, so they can come in as an agent, and I can pay them very well, not an hourly rate, but based on closed deals, and those would be their customers. And that's the case for anybody that refers me in. It's your customer. You're thinking enough of us to come in as an agent and bring us in. But it's a really cool model. I've got information that's ready to send out. It's been well received. I have managed service providers that are high technical people that act like CTOs of companies that want to bring me in because there's no way they can manage as many contracts as I have. We
Right.
have global reach. 95% or more is all right here in the US, which is great, but we do circuit monitoring globally. We have a first global customer that we have services overseas with now, which is really exciting, and it's been working real well. But this agent program provides free education. You pick the category. We have a calendar, and you can learn about software-defined networking, prioritizing your voice over the network and over the data, so you have a clean voice connection. I'm on a voice over IP call right now on my computer. Hopefully, it sounds good. If not, please somebody tell me. And then, cybersecurity. Dominic Singer will come in. He does a lot of my stuff for me, but there's people that he'll bring in if it's really technical. He's a 25-year guy, all cybersecurity his whole career, but we can do this education for our agents. You build your own business. There's no franchise fee. It's free. I don't charge you a penny, ever.
Wait. Stop. Hold up. Hang
Yep.
on. Hold everything. Because right now I got people sitting in the audience saying, wait a minute, are you telling me that all I have to do is refer people that I know in business to you and I get paid?
That's correct. Forever, for as long as they're a customer. It's
And so you're telling me I'm going to get paid for the deal, and then I'm going to get residual money for those people that keep their service with you. Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying. There are promotional spiffs across the board. All the carriers announce it. My agents have access to all of it. We don't hide any of it. You have an online portal. You can put your logo on it. My business partner Brian will brand everything for you 100%. We'll even build a website for you if you want to get serious about it. But if you want to just keep it simple and you want to just refer people you care about, try us out. And I can tell you, I haven't lost a customer in 11 years unless they've gone out of business, but they didn't go out of business because of me.
Right. So now
Yeah,
you're
fun.
also telling me that you're not going to charge me to educate me. You're going to give me tools to go out and do this.
Yeah.
And then you're going to pay me for going out and doing this. Is that what
That's,
I'm hearing?
that's correct. Let me tell you how we make money. So there's typically about 5 layers when you go direct to a company. We'll pick on AT&T because it's not because it's fun. It's a great company. The biggest companies out there, they rely on AT&T daily for the high quality network stuff, and it's expensive, but you get what you pay for. At the end of the day, we're going to pick on AT&T, maybe even Comcast because they're more fun. So we'll say Comcast. I was one of Comcast's first agents in Chicago, long time ago, and what we do is so there's 5 layers. There's support, and I'm not going to go into it because nobody cares. But there's 5 layers of how they build pricing into what they charge.
Sure.
Typically, not always typically. There's never always in this business. The agent channel removes a lot of that. So we're not kicking our feet up on desks. Not saying salespeople do, okay? I don't want to pick on salespeople. I'm a sales guy. I love it. I love salespeople. Yeah. Yeah. I don't get paid unless I sell stuff. I don't collect a salary. No one pays me anything, right? But so let's say I sell $100 deal or $1,000 deal, whatever it is. And I'm going to make anywhere from low end 6% residual for life of the contract, plus upfront promotional spiffs that sometimes are 5 times the amount of the billing revenue, 6, 7 times on crazy deals. And then on top of that, it can go all the way up to some of the voiced over IP stuff is really high margin for these companies because they buy a soft switch, which no one cares about what that is, but they'll buy a soft switch, they'll manage it, they'll have one person managing it. It's super easy, very low maintenance, and they'll pay us 22, 24% residual. So on every dollar, anywhere from 6.5 to 22 cents is what I'll make. The customers aren't paying more for this service. It's important you understand that. Sure. And I can show that. I can prove that every day. And I have customers that will back that up all day long. In most cases, again, less. And the other thing that customers aren't doing, just a side note, I'm getting off track, but you don't ever have to call AT&T or Comcast ever again if you're one of our customers. That in of itself is enough sometimes to get people to say, I'm in. So
as somebody who has argued with with both of those companies, I don't like them much. So if I didn't have to talk to them anymore, probably make my day.
I can get things done with my company can get things done with these providers in fractions of the time it takes a business owner to do it, and we're not pulling you away from your core business, which is key. So it's almost like a double whammy in a way if you think about it that way. So yeah, sure. and everything we do for the life of the customer, 9 out of 10 times, and when it's not the case, the agents will know about it ahead of time because they have access to all the promotions and everything. 9 out of 10 times you're paid on that for life of that customer being with us. If they're paying their bill, you're getting paid. But the good thing about that is this. Again, they're not paying more for the service. You're highly incented to make sure your customers stay happy. You're not selling and running, right? You're servicing your account. So right. You're responsible for it. It's just night and day different, the model. It's so much better across the board. There's no downside to it.
Right. And, quite frankly, we talk about on this show, and we have in the past, and we will in the future, I'm sure, that piece of income that is residual, it doesn't get any better than that. You go out there, you do the job, you keep getting paid for it.
Well, it's cool. And you know when it's really cool, Tom, is when you're on vacation with people you care about and you're not worried about taking time off.
Exactly right. Exactly right. We are about to get to our second commercial break, another 30 seconds. 24/7 Credit Funding is the sponsor of this show also. Let's get this up, and we're going to pick up the conversation as soon as we're done. Hey, it's Tom with 24/7 Credit Funding. Business owners, let me ask you a question. How's your credit? Not your personal credit, your business credit. You don't know? Well, did you know that with business credit, you can keep your business accounts out of your name? You can finance company vehicles in your company name. You can have access to better rates and terms for business loans, as well as raise the value of your company when you're ready to sell. Call us at 24/7 Credit Funding, 708-541. and here's the reason I want to pick up where we were. I know because I invited them. There are people who have some background in the telecom business that I wanted to see this because, as you have said, the business itself has been in some turmoil. A lot of people being shifted around, companies being sold, companies not having enough business to keep work. So, you know, to me, that is a great program, regardless of the industry. I mean, think about how many places you can go and work from home. And right now, everybody's working from home. So if you aren't doing it by now, you better learn how. Um, and you can put together a legitimate business from home, free training. Come on, it sounds like me. Um, so Joe, how can they get a hold of you? I've got your number scrolling on the screen, but maybe you have other ways that you'd like to people to reach out for you.
Yeah, so the website's always going to be changing, but there's always a contact us on the website, which is candid, CANDID
Mhm.
dot solutions with an S, no .com, just candid dot solutions. Contact us page there. My cell phone is 847-323-9844, and you can call me anytime, and that gets routed all over the place, and you'll always track me down. So it's the
Perfect.
best way to get started. And here's the deal. There's a lot of people out there that do what I do. There's a lot of people that are much bigger than me. I know them. I respect them. I've figured out a way to do things just slightly better in a lot of cases. But no matter what, whoever anybody goes with, this is a business you can build on the side without disrupting your responsibilities to the company that you're being paid to work for,
Right.
and by just referring business very nicely. And if it's something you want to build and build your own thing, we will support the heck out of you.
Perfect. And this kind of ties in with that. And so Frank brought this question in at just the right time. So let's talk to those people that they pick up the phone, they give you a call, and they say, "Hey, you know what? I kind of want to start my own thing, my own little side thing, and I'm gonna need your help to do it." What's one thing you could tell them that you've learned about running your own small business?
Well, I mean, let's face it.
Ready for one, I know that.
Yeah, I think that number one, it's a lot of fun and it's a lot of work. But if you're not having fun doing it, you're probably not going to be great at it. It's stressful, and the buck stops here, so to speak. And that's an old saying, and I don't want to use trite expressions, but it's hard work, and there's no one to blame but ourselves. And it's when things don't go well, you got to be there. You got to pick up the phone. You can't hide. That's a big differentiator. The energy that I get from building my own dream is irreplaceable. And I've been on both sides of the fence. I've worked with small, medium, and very large companies. And you know, you I'm not a. My dad was a colonel in the army, and he told me a long time ago, Joe, it's you wouldn't make it in the military. And I said, why is that, Dad? He said, because you don't like taking direction. And I thought that was funny. And so, but I also, I miss my dad every day. And I learned so much from my parents. But my dad just taught me so much about hard work, about digging to the bottom of the cherry tomato box in the restaurant business and making sure everything is big and juicy all the way down to the bottom,
Right.
and the junk's not hidden underneath. You got to be pure all the way through, and you can't BS your customers.
Right.
You got to be honest about things. You don't always have to have the answer. You have to always be thinking about improving, strategizing, creating, and supporting new ways of delivering strong service offerings to your clients. I
Right.
never stop thinking about business, ever.
Right.
But I've worked for companies and I've thought about how am I going to start my own business when I'm working for them. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I just love what I'm doing. I hope that's evident, and had a lot of fun today.
No, that answers it fine. It's actually the same answer I had 5 years ago. I can't, I couldn't when I was an employee count the number of times I said I can do this stuff a lot better.
Yeah.
And then one day I decided to either prove or disprove that fact, and I'm still here so far.
Yeah, it's awesome. It sounds like you're doing a great job. And how fun is it just to make a decision and move on? Because I've been involved with organizations. They'll sit and look at $350,000 in savings and wonder or not if it's too good to be true. And
Sure.
we just got to keep moving and at an honest pace, and try to make really good strategic decisions on our next move. That's all.
Sure. Makes perfect sense. Joe, I want to thank you for being here. I think we've put a great deal of content out with great information. We have your contact information scrolling the screen. I would not be surprised a bit for your phone to ring a few times based on people hearing your talk here. Any last words as we start to wind this thing down? Anything that you'd like to say? Anything you'd like to promote? The floor is yours for the next minute or two.
No, I just nothing to promote. Just thanks for the opportunity. This has been so much fun. You look at these shows happen and you wonder what it would be like. I was real nervous when it started, I'll be honest with you. But
Sure.
I have so much fun talking about this. I have even more fun listening to my customers and trying to help them do things a little better. And there are times where I'll say, listen, you're in good shape.
Right.
I met somebody from the McHenry Chamber and she sent her bills over to me and I said, this is so affordable. As long as you're not having disruption, then, think about how you're going to be backing up data and do things like that. But outside of that, this looks really good.
Right.
And it's about being honest with your customers. It's about most recent customer I picked up was Angel Water, which is out of Barrington. And I talked to him 5-6 years ago. He hit me up on LinkedIn. He said, you still around? And I said, I am, I think. And so we got together and he was having some issues with 8x8, not working with his Salesforce CRM. And we found a local provider called MetTel. It's been around 20 years. I've known this guy, Bob Kintz, for at least all of that almost.
Sure.
And put him in touch with the guy. And I said to the customer, I can bring you 3 solutions or I can bring one. And you can look and just decide if this is the one. And I'll try to simplify your life. He goes, I love the sound of one. Bring
Right.
one you think, and they signed paperwork within a week or two. They did a proof of concept for him. It got delayed on the install. The point is, I'm not going to tell somebody we can do something for them if they don't need us.
Absolutely. And that's and that, I mean, I get that listening to you talk. So you and I will have another conversation business wise here next couple of days as well. Well, Joe, I want to thank you again. I want to, and that is from us and the show as well as the audience. We look forward to hearing from you. Maybe have you back on the show again if you would be so kind.
I'd be honored. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. And to everybody listening, this is somebody you want to talk to if you've got a small business. If you're working with a computer or a phone, and honestly, who isn't? This might be worth a phone call at the very least. So we want to thank Joe for being with us. I'm going to pull Frank back in here. He can apparently hear me and see me. So let's bring Frank in. Let's get some last words from Frank.
Last words.
The final thoughts are yours.
Oh boy, thanks. Hey, Joe, thanks for being on the show with us. Sorry I couldn't participate more. For some reason, we're having a little difficulty there. Glad I knew what you were going to talk about because I didn't get to hear your end of it on my end. But good content. I hope you all got a lot out of it. Not only are we interested in helping the small business owner, if you're a small business owner and you've got something you want to share with our audience, we'd love to talk to you about possibly being a guest on our show. So, reach out to Tom or myself. We'd be happy to talk to you about that.
Absolutely.
As well as how we can help you out with your business and how you might be able to help us. It's all about helping each other. So
absolutely,
what we're here to do.
And Joe wanted me to make sure you heard.
Sense.
Joe wanted me to make sure that you heard from him that he was saying congratulations on Ruby.
Yes, thank you. Awesome.
All righty, folks. Well, we are just about out of time for this week. Always check our page because every once in a while I'll get a little crazy and I'll jump on for 5-10 minutes, talk about something, sometimes good, sometimes questionable, perhaps, but you're going to hear from us. In the meantime, we will see you again next week. Keep in mind the promotions that we've got going on with the advertisers you saw tonight. Give our friend Joe a call. bend his ear for 5-6 minutes. The guy's extremely intelligent. And again, if you're running a business and you use a phone and a computer, if you don't call him, I think it's a mistake. So for our 2 cents, I am Tom Sellers with my co-host and buddy Frank. Frank, say goodnight.
Good night, Frank.
Good night, Frank. All righty, folks. Thanks again for joining us. We will see you again next week. Have a great night.